I feel like I haven't been connected in years. I know it's been a month and a half. The last webinar that we hosted, it was on December 17th. So we're back in business. I hope your year is going well. Thank you so much to everyone that has been following. I want to welcome a new strategic partner of the association to the R3 Bootcamp series. We're going to be talking about financial strategies for your business. And it's a pleasure for me to welcome Mr. Adam Barr. How you doing, Adam?
I'm good. How about yourself, Taide?
I'm doing great. It's such an honor to have you here. And if I'm not mistaken, we're gonna have you again next week for a different topic, which is gonna be very interesting too. But today we're gonna be talking about some important business strategies that it doesn't matter what size your business is, whether you have, if you're a solopreneur or if you are already selling millions of dollars, it's extremely important that you have a financial strategy in place so you can have better use of your resources. But I'm not the specialist. We have someone that is the one, and that's Mr. Adam Barr. So, Adam, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to share this presentation with us today. Just as a reminder, we're going to go through the presentation, and if any of you guys have questions, please submit them through the chat, depending on where you're watching us, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and then at the end, we will have a Q&A with Adam. So Adam, welcome, and the stage is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Taide, for having me. And thank you to the U.S. Business Association of E-Commerce for all of the good work that you guys are doing. It's quite extraordinarily inspiring to be a part and collaborate with the community that you're building and you are communicating with. It's wonderful being here. So my intention today is to create a conversation about business, financial planning, both personal and professional, for individuals like yourself that are business owners and entrepreneurs. And I want to give you value, and I would invite the interactions and the questions afterwards. I have 13 years of experience of working with extremely successful individuals and business owners and entrepreneurs. And my wish for today is to share with you some of those things that makes people really successful and some of the things that unfortunately, so feel free at the end to ask any questions that you might want. So before we start, we have to go into the disclaimer. Obviously, this is not tax or legal advice, and so please consult with your advisors, whether it's your CPA or your legal professional, in anything that has to do with legal and tax. And obviously, no previous performance and is an indication for what the future performance is going to be. So now that we got this out of the way, I wanted to kind of like transport you into an imagination of a story of a young six-year-old boy who just lost his father to a terminal disease and had to unfortunately take care of his brother and sisters. And this boy has grown up, and as you can imagine, had some challenges in school, and he decided to take a job, multiple jobs actually, in working as a train operator, working in a whole bunch of jobs, a mail person, etc., etc. And then at some point, he decided this is not for him, and he opened a gas station with a little restaurant in the gas station, and he thought that would be wonderful. And unfortunately for him, this restaurant, this gas station, was put in an intersection that the city chose to move into a different place, and that kind of like took his business venture down the toilet. And So he decided to open a small little motel, and that got on fire. And then so he said, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to what I know best, and he was cooking. And I'm just gonna open another restaurant, just like the stuff that I learned by taking care of my brother and sisters when we were kids. And I'm just gonna just do my recipes. And so he did that, and he tried to license it and share it with other people, sell the ideas, and he went from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to investor to investor to investor. 1,009 times he got rejected. And then the 1,010th time, someone took a chance on this person. And by the way, it came in a very, very late stage of his life. And this venture, what you know today, is actually KFC, multi-billion-dollar organization with nearly 20,000 restaurants around the globe. And but you know, one cannot help but think about what happened if this individual, the colonel, right, had stopped with his vision at some point. What would happen? Where would KFC be today? Would we even have KFC, right? And the reason why I think it's important to share that story is because when we talk about success or failure, right? When you think about success, failure in the business, right? We go into if we thought about all of the possibilities of failing, right? We wouldn't even be entrepreneurs today, right? So, I do want to acknowledge you for being a business owner, because it's definitely a journey that we take. And if you look at the statistics of business owners and entrepreneurs, most entrepreneurs actually fail in the first year. About 50% of them fail in the first year. And about 95% of startups fail within the first 5 years. And so, if you think about why do businesses actually fail, there's a number of reasons, and groups like Investopedia and other groups that kind of look at the journeys of business owners and entrepreneurs determine that it's usually about 5 or 6 things that make entrepreneurs fail. And the common reasons for those: either the infrastructures is faulty, right, or the business model is faulty. So when you think about infrastructure, what is that? It's typically the entity that is structured as, the legal structures, the management. Maybe the funding or capital is not sufficient. When you think about run rate of a business or an operation, what would that take? Maybe they don't have the right management company or the right management team that actually are skilled in creating morale or attracting or recruiting properly. There's a lot of frictions typically in the company. And maybe the sales and marketing is not properly designed. And one of the things that are quite substantial in derailing a company is actually aim and direction of the company. And when we think about aiming and when we think about the direction, so Zig Ziglar, I mean, how many of you heard or know about Zig Ziglar, right? He said that if you aim at nothing, you hit it with incredible accuracy every time. So what does that mean? When you think about when you aim at nothing, you hit it every time, is really the planning and accountability that is establishing an aim, right? It's not enough just to say, oh, I want my business to be successful. I want to make $10 million a year or what have you, right? That's insufficient. Having accountability is creating times and metrics and having a team or having a board that is quite successful and have real experiential understanding of the ecosystems that you're trying to achieve. That's really, really important. And so one of the things that we know is valuable for individuals to know is like, how do you actually plan? What do you plan for? Because as a business owner, you're both a business, but you also a personal or an individuals that need to plan for both business and the personal. So there's a lot of confusion of like, where do I plan and how do I plan financially, right? Do I use this as a venture for generating cash? Because what we see a lot of times that the majority of the wealth is concentrated within the business. And so when there isn't a plan that is designed for both business and personal, for some reason it fails in the future. So what we want you to do is really think about or consider planning for both your personal ventures and your personal finances, but also for the business finances as well, because it's primarily inseparable, right? If you think about it, like it's all intertwined. How many of you cannot separate the business from your personal life when we take it home as business owners and entrepreneurs? So it's very important to have a team that actually helps you look at all of the variables of planning for yourself financially, what happens in life after the business, and how, while you're running the business, you create another bucket that is enriching you and empowering you on a personal level. So if God forbid something happens to the business or to the environment or the marketplace, you're not stuck without having plan B or a contingency plan. And so this is one of the ways or one of the things that we see a lot of successful entrepreneurs as they embark on different ventures, that they create that contingency plan and taking into consideration all of the opportunities that your current business venture is actually allowing you to have, whether it's business opportunities or tax deductions or cash flow opportunities or creating passive streams of income from the business that you have right now. All of those are things that goes into consideration of building a successful business. So let's talk a little bit about the big picture. So when you think about creating this macro picture for your business, there's of course the broad strokes of it, of creating almost like a family office team for your business. Because what we see that typically the 1%, if you will, right? What they do, they have an individual or representative that takes care of all of their business and financial affairs, and coordinate and incorporate all of those pieces to the vision that the individual wants, right? The primary person. And so they incorporate their business affairs, they incorporate their real estate affairs, their tax issues, the incorporation issues, the legal issues, all of those pieces, the legacy and succession pieces. And so what we want to do is kind of help you create that ecosystem and a team-based approach within your business and within what you're trying to achieve in life. So what we see that is very helpful is creating very realistic business, financial, and personal goals. Truly evaluating where you are right now, where you want to be in the future, and create that tax, legal, and business team and financial team that speaks to one another. Because one of the biggest obstacles that we see, that most of those professionals never speak to one another, right? Even if you have a CPA or an accountant or legal team or financial team or lender or business consultant, a lot of those individuals, they kind of really deal with their silos and with their specialties, and they never really have a meeting together, a meeting of the mind on your behalf, to really make sure that what you actually want, what you envision, actually come to fruition. And then make sure that they have check-in points every year, sometimes multiple times a year, to see what happens in your business, what happens in your cash flow. So making sure that that team works in that way is very, very important. Putting a real plan, a written plan into action is extremely powerful, and making sure that you have accountability, right? You have check-in with your team, and then obviously reviewing, monitoring the plan, and working with your teams to implement those metrics that you set for yourself. A lot of times we see a tax plan that is being done, but nothing has been implemented, or there's no real tangible things that creating deduction for a business owner, creating incentives, or actually benefiting from it. And that's why we want to be part of the team to actually help with the implementation. So when you look at kind of like the broad picture approach, right, is very important to incorporate the legal, the tax, the financial, and the personal opportunities, and make sure that they work together in tandem to benefit you and your family. So let's look at it separately, what each one of those sections actually entails. So when you think about the financial, right, having a written business plan, and I can't emphasize it enough, because sometimes I hear, yeah, I have a plan and I'm going to do one, two, three, four, five, right? But again, when it's not written, it most of the time it doesn't materialize, and that's what we want to help individuals and business owners do: have a written plan, a blueprint of how they're going to leverage this business venture to accumulate wealth and get deductions and create an exit plan that is very valuable for them. Building a cash cushion or an emergency fund, creating those three bucket approach, whether it's creating that, security fund, creating an opportunity fund, and creating a financial independence fund. And we can talk more about it later of how we do that. Resisting temptations of only investing in singular focus companies, or companies that are only in specific industries, and creating a diversification, right? And then creating a plan that is a mix of cash, bonds, equities, real estate, stock, and then other business entities that are maybe different than what you're doing right now. Okay, now on the lending side, it's very important to see how much you actually will need as a run rate for your business, value in your business and value in the cash flow that you're going to need. And what we see a lot of times are business owners that are being too conservative in what the actually run rate would need to be. And that's actually one of the obstacles and one of the things that kind of derail a company, because they maybe plan for too little capital and then they're running out of money, shortly thereafter. So weighing the different alternatives for financing. Sometimes you have business financing that could be SBA loans. Sometimes you have it based on revenue. Sometimes you can have it based on credit worthiness. Sometimes you can have it, based on multiple of income. So there's different ways that you can get money. Sometimes you can have it with private groups or angels or VCs, right? Depending on where you are in your business journey. Sometimes you can have debt, or debt and equity, or a combination. So, and this is a lot of those things that we see successful business owners do. We can also help you get access to some of those ventures and some of those capital structures. And then, of course, credit sources, making sure that if you're using credit, that you have those resources available before you run out of money. Everything that we see successful business owners do is far in advance, and making sure that they have access to those resources. So one of the biggest thing that we see business owners do, aside of credit and capital, is really having access to real good tax planners. And tax planning, if you think about tax planning, there's one thing that is considered to be making money, which, as business owners and entrepreneurs, you guys are pretty good at. But there's another element of keeping money. And one mentor of mine said to me when I started in this business, he said, making money and keeping money is very different things. And tax planning is one of those elements of keeping money, because if you make, $100,000 a month, or $1 million a month, and you're only keeping 60 or 50% of it, depending on what state you are, right? Then you're only keeping a small portion of that money. And so as a business owner, you have a lot of opportunities to create deduction, to create depreciation in your business, to get tax credits, to get tax incentives that will really supplement or enhance the bottom line that you're creating for yourself. A lot of business owners, we create different strategies for them, like private pensions, which we can talk to you more about that. And did you know that you, depending on what your age and when do you want to exit your business, you could actually create a deductions of $150,000 up to $400,000 a year in your business, and that's really enhances the bottom line for you as an individual, and it's a tax deduction for your business. And so those are some of the structures that we can help you create. The other things that we see that is a real challenge or an obstacle in the business is really the protection, asset protection, and business protection. And so, keeping what you're building, right, preserving the business and the value that you're creating over time is extremely valuable. And some of those things we see as legal structure, forming the right entity. Sometimes the attorneys that we work with, they help individuals and business owners create a management company that receives income from the entity that they have, and that they can create additional deductions, and then creating a real solid bulletproof asset protection strategy, and then using different types of insurance to protect the business and the entity, whether it's liability insurance or property insurance, whether it's business interruption insurance, whether it's health insurance for you and the individuals that work with you. Depending on what state you are. I don't know if you knew, but for example, there's different mandates right now that you have to provide retirement plans for your employees. So those are, protecting yourself from some of those things and creating those structures for yourself and the employees is very important. Creating life and disability insurance, workers' compensation, and different types of ways of protecting your business, both again on the business side and on the personal side as well, is extremely important. And then one of the last things that we discuss with our clients, business owner clients, and we see that what makes them successful is really creating an exit strategy and a passive income stream or plan for their financial independence. So when you think about the income stream, it's really creating a plan to replace the active income and everything that your business is generating right now to support your lifestyle and standard of living. But how do you create that after the business is no longer here, or after you created a succession plan, or after you transfer it to your family or to your employees, or if you sold the company, right? How do you know that that asset will generate the income that you need for the future? And so creating a real strategy to replace that income and consider taxes, consider inflation, is very, very valuable. And then last but not least is the exit strategy and the business succession plan that, again, you're determining how do you want it to be. So for example, if you wanted to sell it, did you know that you can actually create a structure that is called an ESOP, that you can actually manufacture or create a buyer within the company, which is going to be the employees, And all of the income and the revenue that you're creating right now could be tax deductible for you. So you will actually eliminate the need to pay taxes. But then when you sell it, you're going to eliminate the capital gains or create a deferral strategy that you would not need to pay capital gains. And then you would still be able to have synthetic equity in the company and have a board seat and actually still run the company and create a passive income. So it's pretty fascinating structure. One of the structures that we help people do, that you get all of the income tax free now. You get, capital gain tax free, sale in the future, and you basically guarantee a sale because you creating the buyer within the company, and then you still have some control and you have equity and passive income really for the rest of your life, even after you sold the company. So there's a lot of unique strategies and techniques like that that we introduce to people that we work with that could create a substantial benefit for you and your family as well. So one of the things that we see that are common risks with business owners and entrepreneurs that contribute to, unfortunately, business owners failing, right, is either waiting too long to have a plan, saying, I'm already running my business and, I'm pretty successful. We have good revenue. It's really solid. The market is wonderful right now. The business environment is great right now. But, I don't really need to have a plan with all those metrics. Or we see sometimes that the business owner is saying, I think that my family is going to take the business over, my son or my daughter, they're already involved in the business, but what if their spouse are not going to want them to have the business? What if, God forbid, there is a health issue that affects that decision, right? So there's a lot of things, a lot of nuances that maybe we don't think about now, that we see that are common risks that are really threatening the business thriving and the outlook of the success of the business. And sometimes there's maybe family friction, right? Even if you wanted to give the business to son or daughter or family member, we see a lot of friction because maybe the business had succeeded quite a bit. How do you create this estate equalization and make sure that every one of the family members feel that it's fair and equal? So a lot of the clients that we work with, they say we definitely want our kids to sit down on Thanksgiving table and to have conversations. And so, business equalization or state equalization is very important to create when you deal with family members and heirs, right? And maybe overlooking the possibility of having a health change. Sometimes what we want to happen, the universe have a different plan for us. So how do we actually prepare for stuff like that, for all of those unexpected events? And how do we have a plan that no matter what happens, whether it's we're healthy or not, where our business is succeeding or not, how do we make sure that we personally in our family will have that passive income that will perpetuate, both for our life and the next generation? And there are things to do because you have this revenue generating entity. You'll be able to structure things while the business is running for the future for yourself. And of course, creating a succession plan would be very important, that is bulletproof from and protected from predators and creditors. And we include predators and creditors, people that want to sue you, maybe want to sue the family or the business. We consider the IRS as a creditor, or if you want to consider them as predators. So it really depends on where you want to categorize it. And of course, one of the biggest risks that we see is trying to do things on your own, or maybe doing things in silos, saying, my accountant is helping me with that, and not considering all of the legal matters and the financial matters and the lending matters and the real estate matters. and all of the asset protection and the business protection things that goes into creating a successful venture. And so what we try to do for our clients, we give them a personal complementary strategy session that takes onto consideration both the business side, the legal side, the tax side, the real estate side. All of those things are being incorporated. We do a discovery process. We assess the personal, the business, the tax, and legal and financial. And then we look at the opportunities for whatever can create solution for yourself as a business owner. Sometimes it's cash flow management, sometimes it's business planning, risk management, sometimes it's fringe benefits, employee benefits, sometimes it's retirement planning, sometimes it's tax strategy, sometimes it's designing an implementation plan, sometimes it's scaling strategies, sometimes it's funding strategies, helping you get capital, and sometimes it's the efficiency of creating a better investment thesis or a better investment portfolio. And sometimes it's just, some of our clients are very charitable. And, when people hear sometimes charitable, they get spooked. But, charitable strategies actually benefit business owners and entrepreneurs quite a bit because you can get massive deductions for yourself as a business owner. Sometimes even 50 to 70%, upfront deduction for your business, and then also creating benefit of deferral and getting income later for the rest of your life. So there's a lot of different ways of doing that. Our passion is obviously helping individuals raise the bar and really be successful in whatever it is that they do at every stage of their business. We have a great team. Right now, this actually needs to be updated. We are nearly 30 individuals with backgrounds, of all professions on the tax, on the legal, on the financial. We have MBAs. Juan Pablo, for example, who's made the introduction to Taide, is an MBA, and a business owner himself. And so we invite the questions. We invite you to just if you want resources, and we want to be that one-stop shop for you and your business, and really helping you be successful in whatever you want, whatever direction you want to take your business. So I'll pause here. I know I talked a lot. But I want to give you a chance to ask some questions. Here's our information if you want to reach out to us outside of this. And we're going to be available to you through the U.S. Business Association of E-commerce. And, we'll make ourselves available for complimentary session on whatever it is, whatever topic you want to learn more, whether it's on the financial side, on the personal side, on the legal side, and on the tax side, and then on the business consulting side.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Adam. That was a very insightful presentation. I mean, a lot of topics that as a business owner can be a little overwhelming, don't you agree? I mean,
Absolutely.
When you think about it by yourself, but that's why I wanted to invite you to give this presentation for two reasons. We know that we're kind of like coming out of a pandemic, but inflation is coming our way. So, I mean, there's still a lot of like issues around our economy. So it's extremely important that we take the proper time to come up with strategies that are going to keep us surviving and thriving in the marketplace, right?
Absolutely.
And financial topics are always a little complex because dealing with the IRS and dealing with state laws and stuff can be complicated. So that's why it's important for small businesses to outsource some of these important services that they need within their business. But let me ask you something, because we received two questions about this. Is there a minimum amount of employees that the business need to have for them to work with you guys?
No, we work with solopreneurs all the way to hundreds and hundreds of employees. Um, if you have, depending on where you are, if you're, for example, in some states like the state of California, if you have employees, it's subjecting you to certain mandates. For example, I mentioned a little bit the Cal Savers, and that's something that many business owners and entrepreneurs who are busy building their business, they're not aware of, the different changes. But in California, for example, the Cal Savers say that if you have a certain amount of employees, you must offer a retirement plan. Otherwise, you're going to be penalized, up to $750 per employee. And if you look at, what's the retirement plan the Cal Savers offer versus what, options and opportunities you have as an individual on a free market, there's a lot of pros and cons. Actually, we do a session specifically on the Cal Savers and how to determine which options would be great for you and your business. But yeah, business owners are very busy doing what they do best, and it's running a business. And
Exactly.
so we don't discriminate on what stage a person is in the business. We have been there, and we started businesses, and we failed with some business. Like most, if you look at, I mentioned the story about KFC, right? I mean, how many times did he fail, right? And if
Mhm.
you look at Jordan, if you look at, there's a video. It's called "Famous Failure" on YouTube. I suggest that business owners watch as they deal with the day to day challenges and difficulties in a business, because it's how we overcome those challenges that makes us triumph. And so, we learned that it's not about the amount of money or the amount of employees that determines the success of the business owners. Is really the vision. And if we come into place, we really want to contribute in all of those elements, right? We have experience in management and leadership that we can bring to the table. And we do a lot of those things that expands beyond the financial side, right? The financial side is almost like a result of all this culmination of best practices that a business owner produces, right?
Mhm.
Having a good team, right? Having the right culture, having a good sales and marketing team,
Mhm.
understanding the access that they have to capital, and being creative in structuring credit, or structuring equity, or creating liquidity in the business, right? Creating a really good structure for the cash flow. Like, how do you contribute to cash on the balance sheet that later on would not pose a risk to yourself, that if you have a tough month or 2 months or a year even, that the marketplace is changing or competition is coming in. How do you create this opportunity fund in a business to acquire another business and create multiple of passive income streams that is related to your industry? So there's a lot of those things that we talk to our clients over time. And again, irrespective of where they are right now, but really based on the vision that they want to create.
And as a follow-up question to the first one, we have people asking about like what's the investment? What's the cost for these services? Is it too high, depending on their needs? Can you give us an idea?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, we don't charge for the strategy at all. We do complementary discovery. Even our legal team that we work with, they provide a complementary legal assessment of whatever they do right now, the entity, the operating agreement, kind of like the overall structure, right? And you can ask them questions that even give you recommendation of what they think could be valuable for you. And even when we do the recommendation and the blueprint, we do not charge for the strategy. The way we typically get paid is if someone decides to do business with us. We're fully independent, so we're not aligned to any one company or another. We believe that that makes this open architecture to work with clients in a non-biased way, right? And we really their advocate as opposed to the investment or the financial firm or the insurance firm advocate. And so, whenever we recommend an investment or a product, right, or policy, that typically the company pays us for it. If it's assets under management, if we are hired to manage assets, our advisors will get an assets under management, which is very competitive with the rest of the assets managers out there. And we're never going to recommend something that is not suitable for a client, right? Our intention is to never undo any good work that someone has. If someone has advisors, for example, right now on their team that they're doing a good job, we work with them because I think the value that we bring, aside of managing money or managing risk or creating passive strategies or helping with alternative investments, the value that we bring is that we are kind of like your quarterback or the advocate for you as a business owner and entrepreneur to make sure that everybody is communicating to benefit you as an individual and as a business owner. Because where we see a lot of challenges happen is where the accountant doesn't speak to the attorney, or the real estate
Lack of
professional
communication,
does
yeah.
not. Exactly. And that's kind of like the efficiency and optimization that we see in a family office model. And so when you work with us, right, and again, sometimes we don't get paid for it, and that's okay, because we believe in a long-term view, and we want to be here for our clients for many, many years, decades, hopefully, in adding value and being a resource.
Yeah, I really like the that one slide where you were talking about the integrated approach, to
Right.
your financial strategy. And you
Yeah.
are so true. I mean, I'm living it right now with my mother-in-law. She has different advisors, and like for a very long time they were not communicating to each other, but finally got to the point, where they have to, in order to have like the products that are the best fit for your current stage within your financial cycle, because that's the other thing, it changes throughout your life. You start at the bottom, just like you said, entrepreneur startups, and then you turn your baby into a multi-million dollar company, and then your financial needs are going to be different. And when you start working with a team that is working together and see that growth, I mean, like everything that they recommend is going to be on point.
Yeah. And unfortunately, right, most people that have access to a family office are people that have tens of millions of dollars and more, right? And so that we saw a real opportunity to create this structure where we make the expertise of a similar structure to a family office to the business owners and entrepreneurs that maybe don't have tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, and really connecting all the dots. Because, and if you think about why does it not exist in such a fashion, it's because there's a lot of things that are elements of finance, whether it's real estate or lending or accounting or legal, that sometimes it's transactional and sometimes it's just very siloed, right? If you go to your accountant, their focus is, I just got to do the taxes for this, for the business owner, and that's the way it is. They don't expand beyond
Mm-hmm.
the expertise that they have. Sometimes they don't have time to do it. I mean, think about it. They have hundreds of clients that are coming to them in April or
Yeah.
December. Sometimes they don't have the time to do proactive planning, right? And one of
Yeah.
the things that we do with accountants and CPAs enrolled agents, we actually bring that platform to them to do proactive planning and a comprehensive implementation planning for their clients. And same with the attorney, right? If you come to the attorney and you tell him, can you please help me with forming an entity? That's what I'm trying to do. That's really what they're going to do. They're not going to think about, what are you going to do in the business eventually, and how you're going to be tax treated, right? And, what's the challenges that will come later on in lending or what have you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things like that that makes it challenging for professionals to kind of look at the whole picture. And so
Mm-hmm.
we saw this opportunity to connect all the dots. And because we worked with all of those professionals individually, we understand the issues and challenges, and we make sure that communicate, without really stepping on anybody's ego, and we making sure that everybody, focus on the vision of the business owner and the entrepreneur now and into the future.
We have a quick question here. Do you guys have someone in your team that can help with acquisitions?
Yeah, we have a group that we work in. We have actually a couple of broker dealers that does mergers and acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
So and part of that is really the consulting element
Mm-hmm.
of the process. Because a lot of business owners, it's going to be the first time that they actually selling a business, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
they want to buy a business. It's going to be their first time. So we definitely have a group of professionals that can help with that.
Perfect. Another question, and the last one that I have here is like, when do you recommend to start working on your succession plan?
There's never to there's a quote that says the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, the next best time is today.
It's today.
And so, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, and we really don't know, what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in the business realm. I mean, we see right now the Feds are projected to raise rates. We don't know what that's going to do to the business environment or the equity, environment, right? So we have to be prepared for it. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know, with Evergrande, what's happening in China, if that's going to affect the global markets, right? So we really gotta prepare and have a foundational understanding on how to even create a succession plan. Because one of the things of creating a succession, you got to understand, how would you business be valued, right? If you ever wanted to sell the business, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
really, sometimes it has soft benefits of going through this process that we cannot even see from where we are right now, right? So it's never too early to create a succession plan,
Mm-hmm.
because we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And what if while you went through the valuation, somebody felt that your business is attractive? What if the firm that did the valuation for you say to you, hey, actually, there's somebody that is interested in your business and is going to give you 5, 10, 20 multiples of your revenue or your EBITDA?
Mm-hmm.
And so you just never know what would happen when you go through that process.
True. No, you're right. So the quick answer is today. Yeah.
Yes. Yesterday is better than today,
Yesterday is
but
better, right?
unfortunately we cannot reverse.
I know.
You know, we cannot get insurance when the house is on fire, right? We have to
Exactly.
do it ahead of time.
Exactly. And not just for your finances, I mean for everything in general. I mean, if we are in business,
Um,
we have to be very strategic about how we use our resources, our time, and it's important to you know once you get to that point where you are plateauing, like your sales don't grow and stuff, that's when you need to reach out to experts that can help you fine tune the engine and keep it going high.
yeah.
One last question, and this is something that I'm gonna start doing every time that I have webinars, just because I set up a goal, and I love when you mentioned earlier about writing your business plan, because that's how you materialize everything. So one of
Yeah.
my goals for this year, Adam, is to read one book a week, and I want to start asking all my guests to recommend one or two books that really impact your life. I know that you have one, so you can share that one. We're gonna be talking about that one next week. But are there any couple of books that you want to recommend to our audience? Business entrepreneurship, mainly.
Yes, absolutely. One of the books that influenced me was the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mm,
And then, of course, the stable in every entrepreneur's life is Napoleon Hill is Think and Grow Rich.
yeah, that's a good one.
Those are wonderful books.
Both of them. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. There you have it, you guys. Two books that if you haven't read them, I'm actually gonna reread the Napoleon Hill one because it's been a while since I read it. I think I need to refresh that.
Yeah. Every time
And
I read it again, it's
it gets
something
better,
new
right?
is revealing itself, right?
Oh, for
It's
sure. I want to be very respectful of your time, Adam. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share some of these financial strategies with our audience. We share your contact information at the end. And guys, please get rid out of the idea that working with experts it is expensive. Adam mentioned it earlier. The working on your strategy doesn't cost anything. So at least just to have an idea of where you can start taking your business and working on your personal finances, I think it's a really good investment of your time. So reach out to Adam and his team. I mean, just for having that, having that document in your hands is gonna be golden. Then taking action is gonna be even better. But if you can have an idea of where to go, I think you shouldn't hesitate or take too much time to move forward with this. So we heard it's important, and we all have to take care of our financial future, not just for us, but for our future generations. And let's take advantage of these resources that are available in the market. Anything else that you want to add, Adam, before we go?
We're going to conclude with how we started, right? When we aim at nothing, we hit it with amazing accuracy. So we're here to help you create a real focused energy that will get you from where you are right now to where you want to be with the most efficiency and optimization. Everything is that we do on the strategy side is complementary, and we want to help you keep raising the bar.
I like that. Keep raising the bar, people. Thank you so much, Adam. Have a nice weekend. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but Rams or Bengals?
Say again?
Rams or Bengals for the Super Bowl?
Oh, I'm gonna go with Rams.
There you go. Most people in Southern California are gonna be cheering with you.
I know, right, exactly right.
Thank you so
Have
much,
a
Adam. Have a nice
wonderful day.
weekend.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
You too.
Bye.